What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Make your next thing a big one. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program I have Jerry L Harmon, the Smoky Mountain Gypsy. This cat is a hoot. Singer, songwriter, performer. My goodness. I'm looking forward to getting to know him in the next few minutes. So stick around. I want you to get to know him as well. This week's shows, I do have one public show, my faithful Friday night at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. The usual Friday night video dance party karaoke jam. That's the from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. They got a full bar. The kitchen's open. Pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, while you're waiting to sing on stage, you could do it at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, Friday night. I'll wait. We got time. Get over there and come sing. You're the stars of the show. I'm just pressing buttons. It's a little concert starring each and every one of you. It's the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. Friday night, my usual Friday night stop. And then on Saturday, I think it's a private show at a public place. But I want you to check out Valhalla Axe Throwing. I hope they don't throw any axes at me on Saturday night. But it's an event center, and they also have axe throwing. So I'm kind of excited. I just got booked on this thing. I really didn't have anything to do on Saturday night. I put a Facebook message out there on Monday. Hey, anybody want me on Saturday? And bam, this gentleman called me the same day and said, yeah, come do a show at Valhalla Axe Throwing, an event center in Morrilton, Arkansas. Should I be scared? I don't know. They're throwing axes. Hopefully they're throwing them in the other direction, towards a target. I feel safe, I guess. All right, that's it for the intro. Let's get into it with Jerry L Harmon, the Smoky Mountain Gypsy. I got him on Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/KeysDAN. Skyping Jerry L Harmon now. Jerry L Harmon, the Smoky Mountain Gypsy. I think that's a good place to start, man. What is a Smoky Mountain Gypsy? Because from what I understand, you're not in the Smoky Mountains. How does somebody come?
Yeah, actually, I am. I grew up over north of here, Boone, around that area, over on the other side of the mountains. After Smoky Mountain, by Blue Ridge Parkway and all that. But I'm a little bit out of them now, where I live now, but I did grow up in them.
I like that. I like that a lot. That gives you a lot of country credibility. And listening to your songs, man, you are the genuine article. I'm hearing some old-timey country music that you've been influenced for years and years. Tell the people, who is a Jerry L Harmon?
Well, I grew up in a family of musicians, storytellers. My great-great-grandfather is credited by historians of being the original source of the jack tales in America, such as Jack and the Beanstalk. There's a lot of those tales. Most people don't know that. They only know that one, but I know like 18. And I grew up in the family my uncle handmade banjos. We called them the banjos in the mountains, and they used groundhog hide for a head. And my family played. My grandmother actually played the washboard. My father played harmonica, and my grandpa played the jug after he got it empty. And I played guitar. And Doc Watson actually gave me the name Smoky Mountain Gypsy, so I carry that pretty proudly,
Well, that gives you street cred. If Doc Watson gives you a name, you better hold on to it. That's fantastic. Now, I did notice some colloquialisms. He played the jug after he emptied it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a real good one. The banjo's good. Jack and the Beanstalk. What? I noticed one of the videos on your YouTube page was you telling stories about Big Jack and Little Jack, and that's a good 11.5-minute video if people want to go by and check that out. But it's you telling a story about Big Jack and Little Jack. Does that have something to do with Jack and the Beanstalk as well, or is that coincidence?
Absolutely. They're all part of the Jack Tales, which the best that they can be researched came from Germany. They started in around the Black Forest area. The stories were called Marchings. And also, I did a lot of storytelling in the UK. Met some great storytellers around the world, Canada, different places. And then there are also the Grimm's fairy tales. Some of those are similar to the Jack Tales, just they became Appalachian Mountain twist when my great-great-grandfather, Counselor Harmon, brought them here. But they're all the same tales. It's just not very many people know there are a lot of them.
Well, how does a good old Southern boy from North Carolina get to go to the UK and Canada and become a storyteller, amongst other things?
Well, I've asked myself that a few times. I was standing once in Venice, Italy. I was over there playing some shows, and I was in Venice, and it just so happened the only first time the America's Cup yacht race was there, the first leg of it. And I remember standing beside the water there in Venice, Italy, watching the yacht race, thinking, how the hell does a hillbilly from North Carolina get here?
What year was this, Jerry L Harmon?
This was, gosh, almighty, I've been so many places, and I drank so much whiskey so many years, sometimes I can't remember things. But it was somewhere around 2007, I believe.
Okay. How long have you been actually doing this? What year did you start? What year did you graduate high school? Did you graduate from there in North Carolina somewhere?
I did actually, and I graduated in 1976 from Alexander Central High, a little town I grew up in, and I've been playing music, my goodness, as long as I can remember. I started trying to learn to play guitar when I was a kid. I saved up a little change. We got a book that showed me the chords, and I started teaching myself. Then in 97, 98, I played a show at the Merle Fest, which is a renowned festival on the East Coast of America, probably the largest acoustic festival in the country. It was named the Merle Fest in honor of Doc Watson's son, Merle, who was killed. And I met someone there, and that took an interest in what I did. And then the gentleman from California, I met Damon Danielson. He helped me to get a foot in the door in Nashville and did some recording. And some people started hearing what I did and kind of liked it. And I ended up with a booking agent from New Mexico booking me a tour in Germany, playing the German American Institutes, and then went back to Ireland. I played a lot of music at these places, but also in Ireland did the Children's Book Festival, which is storytelling all around the country. And things just started falling into place in the UK and Europe. And I toured over there up until COVID for like at least twice annually for the past 15 years. Hope to start back next year.
Mr. Harmon, you have street cred. It sounds like you're a bit of an adventurist. You like to, you say yes to things.
Well, I do. I hitchhiked around America when I was young, just for the fun of it, just to have something to do, see what was over the next hill.
I tell people in their 20s to do what they want to do right now. Before you get married, go and see the country. And if you can, go see the world. I myself took a van across country, and I appreciated that because I saw so many beautiful things here in this country. But you took a guitar and you played, and you took a microphone, you took a book of stories, and you told them. Now, some of these stories, you said your dad was credited for bringing them over from Germany.
No, it was my great grandfather in the 1800s.
Okay, that makes
He
more
brought the
sense.
stories from Europe, settled in the mountains of North Carolina. My late, I think, second cousin removed something. I don't know. I don't know what they call it, cousin removed. I don't know what they did with them. But, Ray Hicks was a national treasure. He's been all over the world as Appalachian Mountain storyteller. And they've been in my family for a couple hundred years. I learned them by a fireplace in my grandpa's old shack down in the holler, when I was a kid.
Well, that's what people used to do. They used to gather around a fire, a campfire, or gather around a dinner table and tell stories. That's what brings family together. That's how the history gets passed down. This is old school, and this is what needs to be brought back. You can't read it on the internet. It's much better when your ancestors, when the people, the older people that have lived through it, start to tell you the stories. Go to a veterans society, go to an old folks home and volunteer, because you're going to learn some things, man. Mr. Harmon.
I had the most wonderful experience. I was doing a benefit for a group of people in Ireland at they call it nursery or whatever, but here we call it, seniors home, but it were people that were up in years. And I performed for them, and it was just great. I had a wonderful time. And they had presented me with a book. It's amazing, man. I have to let you borrow it sometime. All the people in that home had written a story from their past that had a major influence on changing their life. And I got a copy of that, and it's absolutely the best book I've ever read in my life.
Wow. If you could find the name of that book, that would be fantastic.
I will.
I like a book of stories. Me, I don't have a lot of time to read. I do this audio thing. So thankfully with technology, people have audio books. People read those books. Have you ever thought about making like audio books? I know that you told at least that one story and you put it on YouTube, but there's audio books that are itching to be read, books that are itching to be read and put into audio form. And that could be, I don't know if that's another source of revenue, but certainly another way to get your name out to the world, Jerry Harmon.
I hadn't really thought about that. Perhaps you and I can work on something like that. The revenue, sure, I got to have a little money to live, but the big thing with me with storytelling, my music, whatever, I'm the last one left of the real McCoy, so to speak, of the Harmons from Council Harmon that carries this tradition on. And I don't have anyone else to do that. And I take it almost personally to try to share these tales with everyone I can, everywhere I can.
So, Mr. Harmon, does that mean you don't have any offspring that you've told the stories to?
Oh, I've told them to them, but they're not interested in it.
Oh no, you got to make them. You got to shake them. Yeah. You got to put on a hat.
When they're a little bit older, they might realize this really is more intense, more deeper and more important than a PlayStation.
Well, as old Hank said, it's a family tradition. This is how you're keeping your family together since the 1800s. That, as far as America is concerned, that is deep. That, when we say something's old in America, it's 200 years old. But you've spent time in the UK and overseas, and even in Venice, things there thousands of years old. My goodness, history, tradition.
I had a good friend of mine from England who told me once the main difference between the Americans and the English is they think 100 miles is a long ways. We think 100 years is a long time.
That is correct. If somebody has a house that's 100 years old, oh my goodness, that's incredible. Oh, yeah. And I'm sure staying in Scotland, you probably stayed or even went to a pub that was 2 or 3 or 4 or 500 years old. Oh
my gosh, yeah, it's just amazing. As you know, I've played in festivals. I've played places inside the courtyards of castles that were 700,000 years old, and places in France, villages, Germany. It's amazing. I suggest anyone in this country, I don't care what you have to do, save some money, do whatever you have to, get a passport, get on a plane, and go somewhere.
Yeah, especially if you're in your 20s and unattached. Go
Yes.
backpack across Europe. That's a thing that used to be
Go
done
find
back in the.
out what's happening in this world. I was never that guy, and I knew that. I was not going to grow up, graduate from school, marry my sweetheart, and stay in that town the rest of my life. That was not going to happen.
That is for sure. Well, you graduated in 76. I remember 76 pretty vividly, being the bicentennial of this country. And I know that high schools used to put up a lot of red, white, and blue. And it was,
Yeah.
I think I was 7 years old in the Cub Scouts, or at least a Weeblo Scout. And I was camping. So I remember a lot of celebration on the centennial, on the bicentennial. What do you remember about that time?
Well, it was a very good year for me. I was already playing music, had been playing. Of course, in 1976, I had Harold down my back and was going to be a rock star, But I remember there was a lot of great events around the country because it was the bicentennial year, and it was a lot of fun things to see. I was young, and so I had a great time that year.
Well, yeah. So you're already playing music. I'm guessing. Did you play in a band in high school?
Oh yeah,
Doing, like you said, rock and roll
I
music.
played a couple little garage bands, and and played. I mean, I grew up with a lot of older siblings. I'm the youngest of like 8 of us, and so I grew up being influenced by Ralph and Carter Stanley. Ralph and I represented the Appalachian Mountains some years back at the International Bath Festival, and that was such an honor because I got this after I performed. I stood back in the wing and watched the old master out there singing Little Maggie, someone that I'd listened to as long as I could remember and just loved his music. And I got to actually represent this culture along with him. That was just such an honor. I had a great time. And, things like that. And it's just been a blessing. It really has.
Well, you're a fountain of history with a lot of good memories, man. A lot of good people that you've brushed across and learned from. Not the least of which is Doc Watson for sure. But my goodness, when you're in North Carolina, which is maybe a stone's throw away from Nashville. Where did you meet all these people? Did you meet them in North Carolina? I'm sure people pass through, and North Carolina might be a source of music. But did you have to travel to get to make your music, to get to record your music, or to get to meet these people?
Well, it's been a lot of different situations. I got to know Doc. I met him the first time playing at a festival years ago, and then I met him, of course, at several other places at festivals and things through the years because he was a big hero of mine and still is. I mean, even though he's not here anymore, his style of guitar playing, I just loved it. The man's amazing. And I tried to listen to him and learn some things from him. And the way that my nickname came about, I saw Mr. Doc at a festival. He was an amazing man. If he had talked to you a few times, he would know your voice when you spoke because he was blind. And I walked backstage at a bluegrass festival in Georgia, and he was there. I sitting back there in the tent, and I said, "How you doing, Mr. Doc?" And he said, "That sounds like that old Harmon boy. Is that you?" I said, "Yes, it sure is." He said, "Where you been, son? I hadn't saw you in a while." And I said, "Well, I just been rambling around picking on this damn guitar." And he said, "Boy, you just a gypsy. We're going to have to call you the Smoky Mountain Gypsy." And that stuck. I met Doc, and then I met a lot of people on the road, and I playing festivals, different things, and also have had some people that introduced me to others, and I've just been very fortunate. I remember when I was young, I played for a long time, and I actually had decided if I was going to stay in construction, I was going to get a degree because I didn't want to be climbing ladders and setting trusses when I was 60 years old. Mm-hmm. And then I started into college, and then I thought, this is not what I want to do, and anybody should pursue what they love. You just need to do that. You only have this one around. And I thought about, well, I don't know how to succeed in music. I don't know if I can. My next thought was, I sure as hell won't if I don't try. Well, so that's what I did.
That's what you did. All right. What instrument did you first pick up? Was it always guitar? Was it always a man and his guitar?
I very young, which I didn't pursue this, but my uncle that had made banjos that I tell you about, Uncle Gene. I got a lot of comical stories about him. Maybe one day I'll share one with you. But he made banjos, and he taught me how to play Cripple Creek on the banjo. And that's all I learned on it because I loved guitar. That's what I wanted to play. And one of my older brothers bought me a little cheap two-tone guitar from Sears, and that's where I started.
Well, a banjo, you play it with kind of looks like thimbles with little picks on them at the end. Is that how you play?
No, I do a lot of flat picking, and I also when I finger pick, which I do sometimes, I don't use any picks, just my thumb and my fingers. Kind of what they call the card and scratch, a style that Mother Maybelle put, is the first one I ever knew of using that style, with your finger picking and then strumming with your other fingers to keep the rhythm at the same time.
Well, what's a flat pick?
That's just a regular pick. That's just what we call it in the mountain. Just flat picking, cross picking, bluegrass mountain style. And of course, I've incorporated that into all the things I play. I had a lot of influences. My older brothers and sisters were listening to everything from Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, Chuck Berry, to the Beatles, to whatever. And of course, I cut my teeth on bluegrass, mountain music, gospel, the Carter family, Ralph, Bill Monroe, Flatt and Scruggs. That's the first things I started learning to play. And then as I grew older, I was listening to Leonard Skinner, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple. And I've had people a few times question me, say, your songwriting goes all the way everywhere, And I said, well, when your influences came from Bill Monroe to the Carter family, Les Flatt, Cash, Haggard, Jones, to ZZ Tops, to the Sex Pistols, it just happens that way,
Well, you talk about bluegrass. I had a party on Saturday night where they said, hey, why don't you start off playing a little bluegrass music? And right now, the state of bluegrass music is kind of what reggae became, where you take a pop song and you make it into a bluegrass song. You could take a rock song and make it into a bluegrass song. And, people have that. Right. Is that what you grew up with? Is that what bluegrass always has been?
Well, bluegrass originally, where it started, when the Appalachian Mountain, what they call, the old time music, Appalachian Mountain was a mixture. People came and settled these mountains. Germany, Ireland, Scotland, England, they all came here, and they all brought music with them. And it became a hodgepodge of all kinds of things, and became Appalachian Mountain music. And then from that, Bill Monroe, with a mandolin, the guitar, and the banjo, started bluegrass. And it was just a combination of all kinds of music from Europe being brought to these mountains and put together. And it's someone that I admired as a guitarist and as a person, talked to him at festivals, whatever. Tony Rice was an amazing acoustic player. And I was talking to him once, just to go along with something that you mentioned. And Tony could also play jazz extremely well. He was just an amazing guitarist. And I asked him about that, is bluegrass to jazz not a long stretch? And he told me, no, not at all. All those little quick 16th notes and stuff in jazz, you put a run in there, here and there, and you got bluegrass.
Well, I'm fascinated by the banjo. I think that it's a very great sounding instrument. If in the right hands, it is a great tool for making people feel a certain kind of way. I mean, my first instinct back in 1976 or so, I had an 8-track tape of Steve Martin, Wild and Crazy Guy, and he played banjo on that, man.
He's an amazing player. Yeah. He does a lot with Steve Canyon Rangers, and those guys are just amazing. Steve's an awesome picker. He really is.
But, you have a banjo making uncle. I do want to hear at least one story about you and your uncle, and maybe something you might have gotten into together, possibly. Give me one story of the banjo playing uncle.
Uncle Gene, he made banjos, played banjos, and he loved moonshine whiskey better than Peter loved the Lord. Now, he loved to drink moonshine. And he was known pretty well around the mountains as quite a character. And one of my earliest jobs that I ever remember and actually got paid for was helping him carry sugar to a liquor store.
Now,
works for
sugar
me.
is very instrumental in making moonshine. Is that what I'm
Absolutely.
understanding?
Oh yeah, yeah. You have to have sugar to make moonshine, and that's what people did in the mountains. Some of I had some family that were ministers, and they were preachers. Some made moonshine. Few of them did both at the same time.
Well, I
Whatever
mean,
it took to get meals.
it's in the Bible. Well, whether you care to imbibe or not, Jesus kept that party going. Turning that
Yeah.
water into wine. I suppose
Well,
that's the
I'm
thing.
quite sure. I'm sure they didn't pour it out.
But oh my goodness! So growing up, a young child. I mean, young. That's got to be influential in your music stylings and in your music writing.
Absolutely. I mean, my last album, I was real with it. I was really blessed. In Europe, it went to the top 15 along with, Reba McEntire, Marty Stewart, Old Dominion, Rodney Crowell, and went to the top 15. And my album, Walk Softly, was one of them. And when I listen to a country or comedy, all different things, every show I play, every time I record something, it just comes out somewhere along the line. You're going to hear the bluegrass roots.
Well, I mean, the state of country today. Some people like it, some people don't like it. You're from another time. You come from the 50s and the 60s, and even earlier than that. You have influences that are so deep rooted. I don't know where the banjo came from, what part of Europe, where the guitar came from, what part of Europe, all these instruments that go together to form a bluegrass band, even a jug that gets emptied out. How does that become an instrument for a bluegrass, for country music, even putting your guitar flat ways and playing it as a tabletop? How does all that become country, and where does that come from, if you know?
Well, a lot of the instruments, came here from, guitars and things around a long time, but a lot of those instruments, like the mandolin and these things, they came from Europe. They came from they brought them over with them. Great. I remember once I was performing in Ireland, and someone called me and said they wanted me to do a 3-hour radio program. And I said, if you fell and bumped your head, what am I going to do at the radio station 3 hours? They told me I'd have help. There were 5 guys showed up. I have this on recorded. 5 guys showed up in Ireland with an accordion and a banjo. And they did these old amazing Irish ballads from way back hundreds of years ago. And it was the most amazing thing I ever heard. I've just been blessed to have a couple of experiences like that. So there's a lot of Irish roots. There's a lot of Scottish. And, all started in these mountains. Now, I didn't realize how closely entwined we were until I first started touring there. When I first went to Ireland, someone took me to watch a river dance. And I was like, my God, that's Clogan. That's where we got this from. And they were doing some other dances. I was like, oh, that's square dancing. Okay. And it really is amazing. And it all, like I said, they just put everything together, came up with came up with Appalachian music. It was called country music. From there, Uncle Dave Macon, the Carter family, that's where it all started. And of course, gospel's very, very much here in these mountains.
You are so right. All that music that comes from the old country. I'm half Irish, so I really had an affinity for my Irish roots. I bought a kilt, sure. But even before I bought
congratulations, that's a beautiful place, filled with good people.
Well, I need to get over there because I went to an Irish pub in I'm from Miami in the Florida Keys, but I went to an Irish pub in Miami just around St. Patrick's Day, and they had a cat there that was on a guitar and singing these old-timey songs and stuff I had never heard. Of course, I was only barely in my 20s at the time, but he sang songs, and I go, where did you hear that song? And his answer was always, I wrote it. It's like he was the one that made it up. I know he was being coy and joking, but at the time I was a snot-nosed little kid, and I'm thinking maybe he did write it. And he's singing "What Would You Do with a Drunken Sailor" and all these great old timey songs.
I know that song. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! And and to be in Miami next to the ocean, you're singing about drunken sailors. We're talking about pirates in the Caribbean, and that's fascinating. Just that song sticks out of my head for sure. But what songs do you add to your repertoire when somebody goes to a Jerry Harmon show, a Smoky Mountain Gypsy show? What are they going to hear? Are they going to hear all originals, or are they going to hear some covers? What are they going to hear?
Most of my show is originals. I've been writing songs for a long time, and the vast majority of what I do will be original songs. But I also love to do some of the old classics, great songs, that I love singing. Like I'll do something from the Carter Family, maybe the Wildwood Flower or Jimmy Brown and Newsboy, then I'll turn around and do maybe a cover tune from the band, like The Weight or Marshall Tucker or Waylon Jennings or one of Cash's old songs. I mean, there's so many kinds of music that's just really great. Now, you should go with me next year to Ireland, brother. I tell you, man, I love Celtic music. They are some of the best fiddle players in Ireland I have ever heard on this planet. And it's just fun. Last couple years ago, and the Kilcar Festival, they invited me. It was a guitar festival. The whole festival was about guitars. And I felt so honored that they considered me good enough to be there. And I met some great players that time. And the most fun I had wasn't when I was performing, but hanging out with some of these guys with their fiddles and guitars, just a crowd of us got together in the pub one night and we just had a blast.
Well, that's another instrument I'm fascinated by. Fiddle, the violin being turned into an instrument that I don't know if that was ever designed to be that way. I guess a violin was designed, years, at least.
Classical, whatever.
But yeah, where it was designed and then it was turned into something else. I'm fascinated. You talked about clogs, and I'm fascinated by people that can clog and play the violin, play the fiddle, and, play a little music and clog at the same time. I think there's a girl that keeps coming up on my social media named Clug, and just amazing to watch her play the fiddle and clog and keep her own time. It's just, and that's what you do on your guitar as well. Just beating on the guitar, keeping time, and playing and strumming, beat and strum.
I don't do any dancing. I'm not that coordinated.
Come on, you could put a little clogs on and get on a piece of wood and and dance it out. I'm sure the kids will love it.
I've had a lot of fun storytelling with the kids. They're interesting people.
Okay, but primarily you're a solo artist, but since high school you had those garage bands. Since high school, have you been in bands? Have you formed in and out of bands doing shows with other people?
I have some. I absolutely have some. But what I learned. Personally, this is just my experience. I got so tired and frustrated of, first of all, trying to keep a good band together, trying to get people to practice or work at it, and and dealing with all the egos and everything. And I, for whatever reason, I just seem to do okay as an entertainer, putting on a show. I entertain the people. I tell them funny stories, different things, and I learned that I didn't really need the accompaniment, and I'm perfectly comfortable walking on the stage and playing for 10 people or 10,000. It just doesn't matter to me. Well, and I'm okay by myself. So that's just what I started doing. I went full circle, came back to my roots, started writing, started doing storytelling, Appalachian Mountain stuff. And I think, from my experience, my personal opinion, if I would tell any young artist starting out, if I had anything that I might share from my experience, is remember what it's all about. Be yourself and enjoy it,
Well, I mean, you just hit upon something.
It's not about all that. It's about going out there, loving what you do, and being you,
Well, you definitely just hit upon something about bands. The reason that people don't make it in the music business, because it's hard to keep a band together. There's very few,
Absolutely.
Any more than 3 people trying to get their schedules together. As we get older, we try to have, you want to have it all. You want to have the wife, you want to have the kids, you want to start a family, you want to have.
If you're going to do this full time, if that's what you really want to do, it takes some sincere dedication.
It's hard on a family for sure. I mean, you say that you
That's
started.
probably why I'm not married now.
No, okay, so that answers that question. Have you ever been married?
Yeah. I've been married a couple times.
And was part of the reason that it demised, if you don't mind, was it the music?
Not really. Most of it was my insanity. I stayed on the road a lot, and I'll be honest. At that time in my life, I wasn't good material for being settled down and married. I just wasn't ready to hang my hat on one nail all the time.
Well, that's part of being a creator. Being part of the creativity is being a little bit different in the head. Wired a little bit differently. You're able to. You're able to take your experiences, put them into words, and put them into music, and that's something that not everybody can do. Only a chosen few have been blessed with a muse that can turn their ideas into music and change lives. You change attitudes, you change minds. It's a power that you have. I can't write a song,
I don't know. I've had numerous people to ask me, "How do you write songs?" I don't know. I hold a pencil. That's all I can tell you.
Well, and that's another thing that tells me more that you're old school. You're holding a pencil. You don't do it on a computer or a phone.
I write it down.
Okay. Because a lot of kids.
I might write it on the back of a paper plate or whatever's convenient when I'm thinking of it.
Well, most of the geniuses have in the past. If you look at history, they'll write down things on whatever they got. Oh, there's a paper napkin over there. Let me write down this theory of relativity for you. Oh, okay. Let me write down the instructions on how to build a light bulb or a cotton gin or, whatever. How many ideas can I find for a peanut? It's amazing where the lightning strikes. You got to be ready for it, don't you?
Well, that's it. I mean, if you think about, I'll write this down later, it's gone.
Yeah. I've had people that say they have a notepad next to their bed because they wake up in the middle of the night. Oh, I got to write that down.
Yes, sir.
And maybe by the morning, you'll look at it again and go, oh, that wasn't anything. Or maybe it was.
Yeah, I have when I leave the house, I put a small pad and a pencil in my shirt pocket or something,
That's nice.
I never know when something will come in my mind, I need to write it down.
Well, what's the craziest thing that you walked around, maybe at the grocery store or, walking around your town? What's the craziest thing that's turned into a song that's out there?
Okay, I'll answer that question. I have a song on my Walk Softly album, the one that did okay for me in Europe. And I have a song on it entitled "Grandmas Are Sexy Too." And I got inspired to write that song. I was going through a grocery store, and there was a lady getting something. I happened to glance at her. She had a little age on. And I thought, my God, that's a good-looking woman. And I thought, grandmas are hot, too. So I wrote that song and put it on this album.
Well, I'm sure the grandmas appreciate you, man. I've always thought that. I was raised by my mama mostly, as my dad wasn't in the picture. So I've learned that all women are beautiful. They all have that certain something that every man wants, every heterosexual man wants that thing, that beauty.
They're the best thing God ever put on this earth. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I mean, and a lot of guys, try, do whatever. Everything that we do is to attract a woman, ultimately. And playing guitar is something that does that. When the women.
Well, I didn't realize that. I just love to play guitar, but I didn't know the fringe benefits until I started playing.
Well, that's what it comes with, and then that's another thing that hurts families, with the temptation on the road, when you're out there. Even as old and fat as I am, there's still ladies that look at me some way, and I go, "Oh, nope, sorry, I'm married." And I'm like, "How could you want this? Really? Just because I have some kind of a talent?" And I'm sure they're coming at you both ways of Sunday.
I realize that. I mean, I've been out performing, and and ladies would want to talk to me, be attractive. But I understand something. I'm a country hillbilly from back in the mountains. I mean, I grew up back in the sticks. I almost had to pack a lunch, go to the mailbox. But I understand that what they're seeing is something they've created in their mind. They know nothing about me.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, it's an image or something that they've created, and I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love it. I'm grateful for it. I appreciate it. I appreciate people come and hear me so much, because without them, I can't do what I love to do.
Well, that's just it.
I don't let it stroke my ego.
It's got to feel good a certain kind of way when people respond. When people respond to your music, in any respect. Yeah. You played all these songs, and they're singing along with you to your songs. That has to make you feel so good. That Walk Softly
absolutely.
album.
Yes.
That Walk Softly album, released back in 2017, available on Amazon Music. Is music something that you're making a living at, or are you having to keep a day job to keep the night job working?
I was blessed. I've been able to pay my bills on the road cheering. Things got a little tough lately because I wasn't able to do that because all this COVID and everything. But I've been blessed. I'm certainly not going to retire wealthy, but I've had a lot of fun, seen a lot of places, doing what I love to do, and I made a paycheck.
Well, you've already made the advice to the youngins that are just starting out: do what you want. You're playing music because you had no other choice. You thought about doing something else. You thought about being in construction or getting some kind of a degree, but this music is what held you. It's what kept you, kept you sort of sane, I guess.
Well, it did. I'm sure to some degree. And I knew from a time I was just a little guy, this is what I love. This is what I wanted to do, And I mean, just you got to do that. You got to do what you love doing every day. Life's too short to get up and be miserable every day because you have to go do something you really don't want to do.
Man, Mr. Harmon, I have heard that so many times, and I hope that people believe it. Take it to heart. Don't just say, hey, I'm at this job every day and I don't like it. You got to go get another job then. You got to find something else to do.
Different.
There's so much else you could do than be miserable at a job. And you're living the dream. You're living what a lot of people want. You're making a living. You're making it in this business called show. It's I tell people, I told somebody today, at my day job, hey, why don't you DJ full time, or why don't you play music full time? Well, because the money can be good, but the work is not steady. You got to hustle, and you're hustling all over the world. It seems like every time you pick up the phone, if somebody says, Mr. Harmon, you want to go here? You'll say, yes, I do.
Sure.
Yes, I do.
How about people ask me, would you play at this place? I play where they pay me. This is what I do.
And it's got, well, I mean, do you carry anything more than a guitar and maybe a microphone? What is it you have to bring to it?
I don't take a microphone. I know when I go on tour, I usually have my guitar. If I'm going to Europe, I don't take CDs. I have some over there that my colleague and manager holds on to for me rather. And, my suitcase, and I even leave clothes over there some too. I take my laptop and that's it. I'm ready to go.
You are ready to go. My goodness, that is minimal. And that means that you are ready to go at an instant. You're ready for an adventure.
And it makes it really easy for me. I walk into a place, festival, folk club, whatever it may be. The guy running sound, I plug in my guitar. I said, I would spend 5 minutes on the sound check. I'm good. I don't have to worry about if everybody's going to show up, if this or that or other. Don't have to worry with all that.
So amazing. That's a superpower. I've had guitars, they got stolen, but I've had guitars. I did not know how to play more than 2 or 3 chords. And from what I've been told, you can get away with 2 or 3 chords in some kind of music, but no, I've never been able to. I've never been able to take those guitars on stage and accompany myself. It's just not, it's not my forte. It's not my talent, and it's not what I worked at. But you, my friend, have worked at that. You definitely have put in some time. Did you take guitar lessons at any point?
No, I never have. Someone asked me once. They said, "Man, you really play guitar amazing." Can you read music? And I said, "Not enough to mess my playing up." I just kind of developed my way of doing things through the years. I mean, I grew up in a family that nobody took guitar lessons or whatever, and I just practiced and practiced, and over the years, now don't get me wrong, I have learned from a lot of people by asking them how they did a certain run or whatever, get them to show me, and listening to other players and emulate just some of the things that they did that I really like. But I developed the way that I play. I didn't set out to do that. It just worked that way.
All right, so,
and I practiced a lot because I love to play, and that's part of my show. I do some picking and different things.
Well, Mr. Harmon, are you the type of person that can listen to a song and then figure it out, by ear?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'll run down my guitar, find what key it's in, and I'll play it with you.
So, all right, you've recorded a few albums. Well, at least the one "Walk Softly" and that is out there on the Amazon. You got the Gene Goes to Town and
that's a comedy. That's a video. If you get a chance to watch that, I think you'll have a good laugh out of it. I recorded another album some years back too, out in Dallas, Texas, at Charlie Pratt's studio. Woke Up in Frisco. If somebody wants a CD, in all honesty, the best thing to do is just drop me an email, because I don't even. I did the Amazon thing and all that. The thing of this, it's such a ripoff, and I know this to be a fact. It is hearsay. When used to the songwriters, whatever, they made a decent living. Now, if you get 20,000 downloads off Amazon, you're lucky if you get $30 out of it. They get away with that because the Amazon CD baby, these guys, they send a nice check to the record labels every month, and the ones that get shafted are the artists and songwriters. Everybody else gets all the money now.
And that's where we're at right now. I mean, when I was a kid, when I was first learning how to be a DJ, it was when I was in high school in '86, I was just starting out, but I'd already had a pretty good record collection. And right next to the video game parlor, there was a record store. And every time I pulled my car in there or pulled my motorcycle in there, the record store guy would poke his head out and say, "Hey, Dan, I got that new record. Hey, Dan, I got that new album. Come and check he had my number." And I used to love thumbing through those records. And the artist actually made some money off of those records. What is going on? The state of streaming these days, you cannot make a dollar. It's going backwards. It's going back to the 60s.
The streaming companies, Amazon, those guys, they're making the money. None of it's filtering down to the artist or the writer. It's just not the way it is anymore. I encourage people to, I told other artists this too, get people to email you. Give me your email. Mine is very simple, Jerry, Jerry, _ Harmon, HARMON, 35 @yahoo.com. Send me an email. Give me your address. I'll send you a CD. And I just really don't push them on any. I mean, if you want to go download them, fine. I don't care. But I mean, that's great. I hope you enjoy it. But I don't really try to sell a lot on the internet now because of that. It's just such a ripoff to the artists and the writers.
Jerry _ Harmon 35 @yahoo.com. I was writing that down for the show notes, but I was thinking, and it just popped into my head. It's going backwards. Back in the 50s and in the 60s, they would work artists to death. They would work 7, 8 shows a week for a couple $100 a week, pennies in their pocket, and die penniless after working all these shows. Oh my goodness. And it was,
great performers, great artists, great writers, and they got nothing for it. And you're right. That's exactly what it's going back to, Dan.
Wow, amazing. And yeah, the only way you can make your money is in the live shows, and if somebody comes after the show and buys a CD off your table or a t-shirt or a hat, something you can make a couple dollars off. Somebody said buying a t-shirt is like 50,000 downloads on some of these platforms.
Absolutely. It is. It's insane. And I mean, there's so much now. It's like I had a gentleman to discuss with me signing a deal with me, a record deal some years ago. And of course, I had to sign the rights to all of my songs over to this label. And I just on and on and on. And I said, I don't think so. You want songs, write your own. These are mine.
That's some Colonel Tom Parker stuff. Whenever they gave him a song, no, Elvis got to get some writing credit on that.
Yeah,
Colonel Parker had a little scam going on, But I do give it up to the king of rock and roll,
he was amazing. There's no doubt about it.
But
man could sing. I mean, he was a very talented man.
Well, do you think without Tom Parker, he would have made it that far?
Well, probably. I don't know the situation, but probably not, because he didn't know how to do it. So someone else took him and did it. And so I don't know. I think maybe would have been nice if it had been a little more fair with him on his part of the money. But, I don't know.
I get it. I mean, but that's the downfall. That's the business part of the show business is whether you sign on that dotted line, whether you do give up a little bit of your creativity, and you have to weigh that out. They're giving you a $5,000 check and your family's hungry, and you see this $5,000 bonus right here, but you got to pay that.
Take that money. Yeah, and I would too if I was in that situation. You know.
But then
a lot of things, too, people don't understand. Sometimes I actually feel sympathy. I see young people going to Nashville, and I've spent a lot of time in Nashville. I have a publisher there. I write songs, send to him, pitch songs for other artists, commercial type songs, but then I write what I go out and play. But I see artists go to Nashville and they have stars in their eyes and whatever. Some of them may be very good. And they go play anywhere they can, down on the Strip, and down on Broadway. They play wherever it's, they'll let them. And they go in there and they play songwriters rounds or they play open mics. And they really think they got a shot, and they might, but you're playing for tourists. The people in the record business, people in the music industry on the road at 5 o'clock, they get in their house, they get in their cars and go to their house in the suburbs. They're not hanging out in the pubs. And if you don't know someone or be extremely fortunate or lucky or blessing from God or whatever, you're wasting your time going to Nashville thinking you're going to jump off the train at Tucci's and get a record deal. That does not happen anymore.
Well, it's the same thing with the kids that head off to L.A. to try to be in the movies. I don't think the movies are even made in L.A. anymore. They're made all over the world. And just like music, absolutely, you can make music wherever you want. For about $1,000, you can get a decent amount of equipment, put it in your house, and record a song.
The reason I record in Nashville is I've played music around the world, and Canada, not around the world, but quite a bit, several countries. And I've met a lot of players. And absolutely, without a doubt, the best players in the world are the studio musicians in Nashville, Tennessee. Those guys are unreal. I've been playing guitar a long time, and they make me sound like I just started. And they're just so amazing. They're the best players. So if you want to do a recording, that's the place to do it. And it's, I know people there. I know a few producers and engineers and guys that own studios and publishers, whatever. But, if you go out here, I'm not being degrading at all. I'm just sharing my experience. You go out here to mom and pop's dewdrop in recording studio somewhere. Mm-hmm. And as soon as somebody hears that, they're going to know that's what you did. Believe me, that knows what they're listening for. You would know it,
Well, yeah, you're talking about these hired guns, man, that are at these studios, and they amaze me. It's amazing
Yeah.
how the songs
Oh,
of the
it's tremendous.
50s and 60s, at Motown, Stax Records,
Oh, yeah,
Sun
yeah.
Records, it was all the same group of guys with a lead singer that was singing, that was doing all the playing on those songs. And those guys just
So
get
they're such great
prolific.
players.
Yeah, they get so prolific and they get so proficient at their songs, at their playing, that they know everybody's song at the drop of a hat. Give me about 15 minutes, I'll know that song.
And these guys, like the gentleman that played on my last album on the guitar, Craig Lusinger, he's just like in the world of his own. He played on everything Garth ever cut in Nashville. He played on all Garth Brooks songs. And these guys like him go in there and you'll sit down and play a little bit of the song. You'll play a song for a guy, charts it with number charts. Okay, play the song. Usually the drummer, when that metronome, will get the tempo. Okay, and they'll go in there and they'll play that song, and it'll sound like they practiced it every day for 20 years.
Well,
It's just amazing.
Mr. Harmon, you're letting people know that as good as you are on your guitar and singing, and you could play a song, you could play out live, but you can't do it all by yourself. You can't do all. You need a team. You got a team. In fact, I got to give a shout out to Linda Arico Centeno for putting us together.
I definitely wanted to mention her. She is a very, very nice lady, working hard to try to help me. I want to start back doing some things in America. I love touring Europe, but I miss touring at home too.
Yeah.
Linda's working with me on that, hopefully.
It's got to be a little easier on a body, not going too far away. If you could stay, in the North Carolina area for a little bit and make some kind of a living, which you can, you could be in a party band and play a few covers and then a few originals, and that will get you through. But, if you're a certain kind of person, you might want to play only your originals because they're near and dear to you.
I guess it's because I'm an artist, and I just, I've had opportunities. I've had a couple opportunities. One was with I was playing a show to Belfast Nashville Songwriters Festival in Belfast, Ireland, and I had a lady who's very well known in the music industry offered me a job coming with her and playing guitar, and she understood. And I told her quite honestly that I was so honored. That was the biggest honor I'd ever had, be offered a job playing with anybody from that family. But if all I did was stand up there and play my guitar, I would be bored to death.
Understood. You don't want to be a hired gun. You're much more than that, for sure. Well, as we wind this thing down, I've taken some of your time. We've learned a little bit about you, Jerry L Harmon, the Smoky Mountain Gypsy. I want you to give more shout outs to people that have helped you along the way, be it you already mentioned the studio that in Texas that you did some work on, and if there's any other studios that you work with or any other engineers that have helped you along the way. I want you to give some shout outs, and then we'll give some last words for the people, and we'll take this and put it in the bed.
Thank you, my friend. It has been truly an honor speaking with you, Dan. I've been an honor to get to know you, man. I hope we can talk again. But there's been Pat Holt, who's been in Nashville since Moby Dick was a minnow, I think. He's done things from the Carter Family, the Cash, to Dr. Hook. He's a great engineer, great producer, and a heck of a nice guy. Midtown Studios in Nashville. And Bobby Keel, who is an amazing songwriter, has had a lot of things cut. I'm talking about back from the time of to Tammy Wynette to Kid Rock has cut his songs. And, Travis Tritt, Hank Jr. Bobby actually heard my stuff. I got the publishing deal for me in Nashville. He took my album to Steve Pope, who's another guy that's been around Nashville forever, and got songs cut by artists. And apparently, from what Steve told me, Bobby told him, I want to listen to this hillbilly. He's a pretty damn good songwriter. And so that's how I got a publishing deal. And a lot of these guys like that have helped me. Dave Alexander out of Dallas, Texas. Dave produces all the Dallas Cowboys halftime shows. And he's a great guy. He's a great performer himself. He plays many instruments, an amazing producer, plays a lot of Texas swing. So many people like that, have helped me. And Damon Danielson from Mountain, California, they've encouraged me, and just friends. Actually, believe it or not, some of my best support has through the years of people just supporting me and staying up with me have been people from Facebook and things like that.
Well, that's the new thing is, it doesn't cost anything to see an artist, to hear something, and then just go ahead and share it. Tell two friends, like the old Pantene commercial. Tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and so on.
And my little small hometown, Taylorsville, North Carolina, those guys, they support me. I very much appreciate that.
Well, that's good. Are there any local clubs that people can probably find you at, or from time to time? You got a place that you play, maybe every Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
No, I usually, if I'm not on the road, I'm practicing, writing, practicing. I've got a great vocal coach in Germany and manager and colleague. We've worked together for years, and I'll never forget. I've been singing for years, but she is an operetta singer. Her and her teacher Josephine in Germany by the Black Forest, Susie Howe, and she's just an amazing opera singer. And some years back, I said, "Why don't you teach me how to sing?" And she said, "I didn't know you like opera." And I said, "Are you kidding? I'd rather hear cow pee on a flat rock as listen to that. But if you can sing that, you know how to use your voice, so I want you to teach me." So she's helped me tremendously. And a lady we worked with for years, she lost her life in a car accident while I was on tour in England, Noelle Ringwood, and she was a great actress. Her father was a director of the theater, and she taught me so much about stage etiquette, how to work a stage, how to perform. And, God's blessed me with some great people like that. And if it hadn't been for them, I would never have been able to do the things I've done.
Man, that is fantastic. If there's anything that I've enjoyed, your storytelling, your upbringing, where your roots are from, and your colloquialisms, emptying a jug, and you've come up. You may be more Southern than Southern. Here I am in Conway, Arkansas, and I just did a party in Harrison, Arkansas, just south of Branson, Missouri, and I know some country, but I love that. I love that colloquialism, that down home feel. It adds flavor to a story. It adds flavor to a song, and it makes people feel good. It humanizes you. It normalizes you. Make people want to come get to know you. And I'm glad that I've gotten to know you. And yes, I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. As time progresses, you got things more things to promote. You come on back and chit chat some more on the What Makes You Famous podcast. I usually like to wind these things down with last words for the people. This could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra you wake up with every morning, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Jerry L Harmon, the Smoky Mountain Gypsy, give the last words for the people.
I think one thing, Dan, that I try to live by today is, and make an effort to. And my father, once I had accomplished some things, and my father is no longer alive, he was a hillbilly for sure. And I had accomplished some things. I nominated for a Grammy and toured a lot of different places, played with some top acts, well-known acts. And I was telling my dad, what all I'd accomplished. And in his not very subtle way of just saying what he has to say, he brought me right back down to the ground and said, "Well, boy, don't get above your raisins now." And so, I think that's a good thing to live by. Remember where you come from and who you are,
Oh, my goodness. Jerry L Harmon, the Smoky Mountain Gypsy. Just a good old boy playing his music, playing for the people, and saying yes to everything. He's Gypsy, yeah. Adventurer, for sure. You call him on the phone, you say, "Hey, you want to come play over here? How much? You got a big bag of money for me? Sure, I'll come right over." He's got bills to pay. But you could tell he does it for the love of the music, but he also, hey, he's making a living. You got to make a living. But adventure, my goodness, he will go He will go to the UK. He will go to Europe. He will go to Canada. He will go all over these United States. He will go. Just give him a call. Slide into his DMs. And he already said the best way to get a hold of him, it's the oldest school that we got, besides writing letters. Now you can do emails, so email him, Jerry_Harmon 35 at yahoo.com. He doesn't have a website, so find him on Facebook. I got his Facebook in the show notes, Jerry.Harmon.547. Got a YouTube page. I put that in the show notes below as well. So find Jerry Harmon. I got his Amazon if you feel like buying a record there. But he already said it, if you want to support him better, buy a record directly from him. Send him a little email. He'll send you a CD. Heck, I'm putting words into his mouth. He might even sign it for you. Personalize it. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice to have that personalization. And it puts you closer with the artist. And go to a show. My goodness. If you're wherever you are, local, go to a local show. Support your local live musicians, especially if you're in the North Carolina area. Go see a Jerry Harmon show. Thank you, Jerry Harmon. Thanks for chatting, man. Thanks for giving me some history and some insights on the music business today. I suspected, but now I kind of know even better now. It's hard. And it's getting harder for somebody to sell records and make a living selling records. You got to go out on the road and play till your fingers bleed. Play your guitar, play your banjo till your fingers bleed, and sing till your throat gets sore. And maybe you'll make a living. I hope it's not that hard. I hope it gets easier. I hope it does. But that's hope, right? What is the harsh reality? Thank you so much, Jerry Harmon, for being on the What Makes You Famous podcast. Now, I'm turning my attention to you. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email KeysDAN@AOL.com. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.